इंडस्ट्री जिउंदी है इंडिया दे विच तीजा स्तंभ हैगा कि नहीं सेंटर दी सरकार जिहड़ी स्टेटां दे विच इंटरफेयर करना बंद नहीं करदी तो सेंटर दी सरकार नूं अपनी औकात विच रहना चाहिदा कि नहीं कि केंद्र सरकार केंद्र के कामों पे क्यों केंद्रित नहीं है ਆਪਾਂ ਉਰੇ ਖੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਆਪਣੀ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੀ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਸੀ ਤੇ ਆਜ਼ਾਦੀ ਨੂੰ ਬਚਾਉਣ ਲਈ 45% ਬੱਚੇ ਰੋਜ਼ ਭੁੱਖੇ ਸੌਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸੁਪਰ ਪਾਵਰ ਬਣਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬਾਈ ਦਾ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਆਫ ਦਾ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਫॉर ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਅਡਾਨੀ ਅੰਬਾਨੀ ਦੀ ਯਾਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਹਾਲੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ ਜੇ ਤਿੰਨੋਂ ਬਿੱਲ ਵਾਪਸ ਨਾ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਬੇਸ਼ਕੀਮਤ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਮਨਸੈਂਟੋ ਵਰਗੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਫਾਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੜ ਕੇ ਸੀਡ ਕੱਢਣਗੀਆਂ ਕਾਲ ਟੂ ਐਕਸ਼ਨ ਆਈਟਮਸ ਕੀ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਜੰਗ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ ਆਰਟੀਕਲ 19 ਆਫ ਦ ਕਨਸਟੀਟਿਊਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਆਧਾਰ ਤੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਬੰਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਰੋਸ ਮੁਜ਼ਾਹਰਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਟੋਟਲ ਫਰੀडम ਆਫ ਸਪੀਚ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ
ਖੇਤੀ ਕਾਨੂੰਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿਰੋਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਭਾਰਤੀ ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਲਕਿ ਵਿਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਸਦੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਵੀ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਤਰੀਕਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਸਾਨੀ ਸੰਘਰਸ਼ ਦੀ ਹਿਮਾਇਤ ਕਰਦਿਆਂ ਖੇਤੀ ਕਾਨੂੰਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵਿਰੋਧ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਕੈਲੀਫੋਰਨੀਆ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਵੀ ਗੋਲਡਨ ਗੇਟ ਬ੍ਰਿਜ ਨੇੜੇ ਸਥਿਤ ਭਾਰਤੀ ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੱਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਰੋਸ ਮਾਰਚ ਦਾ ਆਯੋਜਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਇਸ ਮੌਕੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਬੁਲਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੱਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਬੁਲੰਦ ਕਰਦਿਆਂ ਆਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਖੇਤੀ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਰੱਦ ਕਰਵਾਏ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਸੰਘਰਸ਼ ਖਤਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਬੁਲਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਆਓ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ
I'm their manager, so if you guys want to do a record drop or anything, talk to me after. I'm just kidding.
Like this, right?
Hey, you gotta hold it real close.
I got Bagi Kun, Kisani Kun inside my DNA.
Keep going.
Move the mic closer to yourself,
I
please.
got years of genocide and pain inside my DNA. Got the mindset of Shahidi up inside my DNA.
Go.
I was born for this, I'm born for this, it's all cause of the pain. Raise our voices, make the choices, we just try to bring a change. Don't lose focus at the protest cause it ain't about the fame. This one's to you, India, we're done playing your games. We got Ekta, gonna connect an entire nation today. Take advantage of the farmers, just let them have a say. If you don't repeal the bills, don't you worry, you will pay. I can't help it, got a want of justice in my DNA. We got Moja doing Moja at the borders on the way. Yeah, you see them with the horses claiming Khalsa Rajbande. We call them Akalis or Nehams, they will never be the prey. They see the truth, they know the truth is you ain't a democracy. Hypocrisy should really be your name. One of the reasons we're protesting is because your bills are late. It started with the few and now that everybody came. We all over here yelling, Indian government, shame, shame. 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 Sell our lands to Adani so he can't build factory. You murdering my kind so you can start manufacturing. This genocide has been going on for an eternity. You killed our mothers even when they were in maternity. But now we're here telling our story. San Francisco, San Jose. Yeah. Cause a DNA. Call us terrorists. The error is inside your stupid brain. You just have messed up logic. There's no way you can explain. Can't believe you're touching farmers. They're the ones who make the grain. They work so hard in the heat and the cold. They may be all but they do what they're told. And you're just trying to get their land sold. This entire game is about their gold. We all got stories that are untold. The world is watching the truth unfold. Trying to keep our anger in control. Wait for our stories to be retold. That's where my mind is about to explode. DNA.
Liar.
Thank you. The music
Good job. ਸੋ ਗੋਲਡਨ ਗੇਟ ਬ੍ਰਿਜ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਸਟ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਫਾਰਮਰਸ ਲਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਏਕਤਾ ਮੋਰਚਾ ਦੇ ਲਾਈਵ ਵੈਬ ਪੇਜ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰੋ ਆਪਦੇ ਵਾਲਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਯੂਥ ਨੇ ਉਰੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੌਸਲਾ ਮਿਲੂਗਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਭੈਣਾਂ बहुत सारे वीर अपने ते कुछ बच्चे भी ने देख सकते हो सारे बुजुर्ग सब ने इकट्ठे होकर मार्च करने के वास्ते हुण ऑलमोस्ट किलोमीटर सवा किलोमीटर तक आ चुके हैं। हुण अगे जाना है गोल्डन गेट ब्रिज के उत्ते। सो देख सकते हो सामने गोल्डन गेट ब्रिज ते उहदे पिछे ईस्ट वे है।
Alright guys, we're gonna do the speeches right now. We're gonna use the middle platform for speeches.
स्पीच करन लगे ही
Our rap bus right there. And then main cameras, camera crew. I think your main point would be like right here in this middle area to capture the main speakers. I don't know, brother. No, we're gonna have speakers here. Main speakers will be using this as the rap stuff. Wrap it up. Just hello. Crunch wrap. Okay, our first speaker will be our beer.
Hello? Can you guys hear me? Oh my god, I had a loud voice. Can you hear me? Bole Soneham! My name is Herbir Kaur Bhatia and I am from the South Bay, but I come from a long history, just like all of us here. Somewhere along the way, we've had farmers, and for me, it was my grandparents and my pardade, parnani. Why are we here today? Because this affects all of us. It's really important to reiterate these messages. As Amar and others have told you, Jaspreet have told you, you must know the facts, and you must keep the conversation alive. Yes, it's hard to stay this emotional for this long. We think there's spikes, and that should be enough. But we have to be the voice of those that are voiceless. And those are the people on the ground, our elders. They're sitting on the floors of unclean spaces out in the open. This is not an easy life, but they're willing to die for the future of their generations. So why does this matter to you? Because you need to be their voice. We need to be their voice. So who's my audience today? It's you, the listeners. 2, the American leadership, and 3, it's the Indian leadership. First, let me remind you all that these bills, why are these bills bad? Our people of North India, South India, of across the nation in India need change. There are over 400,000 farmer suicides in all over India. Did you know that? It's the largest farmer suicide capital of the world. That means there are other countries that have suicides as well. United States has numerous suicides. Why? Because they've been through this already. But we probably didn't know that, right? So that's number 1. They're dying because they cannot make their ends meet. They cannot pay back their loans. There's no opportunity. There's no other industry. They don't know anything else to do. So this is going to take them from a revolution. They need a revolution, but it's going to go take them to slavery and more poverty. More than 65% of India's population are dealing with farming, either as workers or farm owners. Over 80% of those are people with 3 acres or less of farmland. There's nothing for them else to do. So they needed a revolution, but guess what? They're getting handcuffs to be the slaves of the corporations. Everybody keeps saying corporations are good. Yes, they provide jobs. But corporations' job is not to help the needy. Corporations' job is to create profit. Anybody here not work in a corporation? Does anybody here understand? Everybody understand that? You have shareholders. They're We're supposed to make profit. India is selling the farmers and the laborers to the corporation, and we know the names, Adani and Ambani. Why? Because they will control the food pipeline. This matters to the whole world. We are all connected by food. Everybody in the whole world needs food. So nobody can say this is just an India issue. It is not. If anybody here opens up their cabinet, there is a spice that's from India. If you open up your freezer, there's a vegetable that's from India. If you open up your staples, there is a wheat, rice, or other type of flour from India. So everybody gets affected. And this is to that audience that feels that this is an Indian issue. It is not. It is a global issue. You will pay the price, because if a country that is the largest, supposed to be the largest democracy, does not follow democratic principles, guess what? It will affect this nation. It's no joke. That's 1.3 billion people, and those people live in the world. We are 300 million in this country. We're just 4 times short of that. So you need to tell people this will affect you. India is committing injustices all throughout the years have passed, but now it's visible because you are here, you have social media. Why are young men and women in jails? Why are elders sleeping on the street and being abused? Why are journalists being jailed? Don't forget those stories. Those have to be kept alive. We have to ask for better. So my question is, to you, what are you doing for the morcha than just only coming today? Are you telling your local officials? Are you calling your city council members and saying, do you know you represent me, I voted you in, and as an immigrant that voted you in, this matters to me, so it better matter to you because you represent me. That is for the city, that's for the county, that's for the state, that's for the nation. So I ask everybody here, what are you doing to help this movement? What are you doing to help this issue? It is not just about those Indians on the ground, this is about the whole world. So I ask you to ask your leadership, I ask you to take action, call a Congress member, call a council member, call the people in India, ask them how can I help. But what matters more than anything else is be informed. This is about corporate slavery, this is not about the people. This is about profit, this is not about food. This is about everybody else but the people that matter. So I have so much to say, but I will not say more because there's so many more speakers. But I will say, please don't let the passion go. We need that passion. They're counting on us to keep this movement alive. They're counting on us to come out in the roads of hundreds and thousands of people showing up to these marches. Don't lose your energy. Your number counts. When there's more of you, we make more noise. When we are on social media, we make more noise. So please be the voice for the voiceless and prevent this injustice from happening, and ask your leadership, why are you not saying something today? Why haven't you done anything so far? And finally, to the Indian leadership, when you make people broke, your whole economy fails. Please understand, if 50% of the population of India does not eat before they sleep at night, and you take away more money from them, guess what? You're taking away economic power. So this is a very, very reasonable and very practical problem. If you make them poor, they cannot spend, your economy will die. So I leave you with those thoughts, and please take action. Please do not lose the emotions, the passion, because the people on the ground need you. Thank you.
COVID friendly. All right, next we have Pravjot.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. I think Harveer Bhenji gave a lot of good tips right before me when it comes to talking to the American leadership and emailing your congressman and writing letters to your congressman, because it makes a difference. The people worldwide, when we had a meeting with the local congressman, they said we check our mail. So you want to look at your mail, you want to send in enough mail so that you make enough noise to do that. What I want to talk about is a little bit more specific to the crowd that we have. And that is our reality. When we talk about our reality, when we talk about the Indian government, when we have posters of Free Jaggi Now, when we have posters of Indian injustices, we're talking directly to the Indian government. And that doesn't mean that you arrested 40 of our people during the farmers' protest and we're out here in these numbers.
This is coming from a community that has been suppressed for decades. The pain that causes these protests doesn't come from 3 farmer bills, though that is the fight of today. It comes from decades of suppression. It comes from a 1984 Delhi pogroms where the victims are still looking for justice. So when we talk about these things, some people say we're inciting violence, but we are not inciting violence. This is our reality. This is the reality that we come to. The second thing that I want to talk about, it's very common for us to say 1984 Sikh genocide. I've used the term. I'm sure a lot of people here have used the term. 1984 Sikh genocide insinuates that it ended in 1984. Then why do we still have people in Indian jails that were arrested in this time period? You have to think about how these things relate to the farmer bills. Modi is looking to install a statue of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji in Delhi. He's trying to appease the Sikh population and say, hey, we're friends of Sikhs. But the record of India speaks otherwise. This is a national Indian movement now. But where did it start from? It started from Punjab. It started from the Sikhs tearing apart the barricades. This is the Sikh nation. A lot of us here are Sikhs. This is how we were built. This is our blood. So when we talk about Modi creating these farmer bills, I would disagree with that. I would say we created these farmer bills. We created these farmer bills because we let go of the Amitabh Bachchans who were on national TV saying in 1984, "Khoon ka badla khoon." Apne bande udo mareya. Did we get justice? We still have people in jail. We have 80-year-olds in jail still from that time period. So how can we say 1984 genocide when it's still lasting today? We talked to Ranjit Singh, who was a very famous person arrested in Delhi. He defended the women's tent, and the police arrested him instead of the people that were attacking the tent. When he went to jail, they told him, Sikh kende hunde hai na sawa lakh na ek ladde a. As they beat him, they told him that if one Sikh can fight with sawa lakh, fight us back now. He told us all the things they said about Sikhi in those jails. So for one moment, if you think that these are direct attacks on Sikhs, then you are mistaken. This will erase our identity. This will erase our religion. So while we fight to make the world aware, Facebook stock has skyrocketed. Mark Zuckerberg is actively silencing farmers' content protests, but his stock is skyrocketing. This is the results of not realizing our oppression. We've mentioned it for decades. Sikh, Hindustan vich gulamya. We are slaves there. And we can fight the farmers now. We can fight for our waters yesterday. We can fight for the genocide victims of 1984 and the pogroms. We can fight for Akal Takht. We can fight for Operation Blue Star. But until we recognize that we are oppressed and we are slaves in that country, the farmer bills may go away today, but a version of them will come tomorrow. So that's something we need to recognize. That's something 1984 genocide. Please stop saying 1984 genocide. It is an ongoing genocide. Farmer genocide is going on right now. It's an ongoing genocide. I think awareness is step one. Awareness is step one in realizing the root of these three farmer bills. These farmer bills are for corporations today, and they will erase us tomorrow. So it's something that we need to wake up to. We need to wake up to our status in that country. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. All right, next, I'll let him do a self-introduction.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਦਿਲਬਾਗ ਸਿੰਘ ਮੰਟਿਕਾ ਤੋਂ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਪੀਚ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਰੱਖੂੰਗਾ। ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਏ ਆ, ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਖੜੇ ਆ, ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਚੇਤੇ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਪੀਕਰ ਬੋਲ ਕੇ ਗਏ ਆ, ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੋਂਦ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਆ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੋਂਦ ਨੂੰ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਉਹ। ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਨੂੰ ਚੱਲ ਜਾਈਏ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਕੁ ਪਿਛੋਕੜ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਵਾਂਗੇ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਟਾਈਮ ਸੀਗਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਿਆ ਗਿਆ। ਜਦੋਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ 1961 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਲੈਨੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਟੋਟੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਛੋਟਾ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਤੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫਿਊਚਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਐਨੈਕਸੇਸ਼ਨ ਰੱਖੀ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਕਿ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਛੋਟਾ ਕਰੋ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹੀ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿਰ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਫਿਰ ਖੜੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਨਾ ਖੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਇਹ ਲੋਕ ਮਾਰੂ ਨੀਤੀਆਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵਕਤ ਨੂੰ ਪਛਤਾਓਗੇ। ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਜਾਓਗੇ। ਕਈਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਛਤਾਈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪੁਰਾਣੀਆਂ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀਆਂ ਆ ਉਹ ਗਲਤੀ ਕਰ ਗਈਆਂ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜੋ ਸਾਡਾ ਬਣਦਾ ਹੱਕ ਸੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਅਗਲੀਆਂ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਆਪਾਂ ਨਾ ਹੱਕ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਰੱਖੇ ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਉਮਰ ਪਛਤਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੀ ਰਵਾਂਗੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Here's some water before you go up. Your water's right
All
here.
right, we'll be our next speaker right now will be Carlo.
From
Friends and allies, thank you. Can you folks hear me? Thank you for inviting the Dolores Huerta Foundation and Dolores Huerta to join you today on such a historic march. Our mission at the Dolores Huerta Foundation is to inspire and organize communities to build towards social justice.
Towards the end of, is that
You know, today is very important for two reasons.
I think he's good.
And those reasons are why Dolores could be here with you today. Well, today is her 91st birthday, if you don't know. So happy birthday. Feliz cumpleaños to Dolores. Please, if you can shout it out. Feliz cumpleaños, Dolores.
Thank you. Go team.
We're so happy to celebrate her at the foundation. For more information, we will be having an online party for her on May 22nd. We invite you to please join us. Please raise your voice about the issues that are happening in that platform. Also, if you want more information about our foundation, please go to www.doloreshuerta.org. Unfortunately, she also couldn't be here in person because we're also living in a time of urgency and critical action due to this pandemic. Throughout the Central and Antelope Valleys, the Dolores Huerta Foundation has distributed food, masks, health, and financial resources with over 70 canvassers deployed across 4 counties in our Central Valley and Antelope Valleys, providing COVID prevention outreach, education, resources, vaccinations to those most impacted, like the essential workers that we know in India who are affected by these terrible laws. We are marching here in support of them, and we are allied to your movement. Dolores, throughout her life, has organized thousands of laborers and passed thousands of laws so they could earn a living wage and have just work conditions in the fields of California, where my father, his brothers, his father, my uncles all toiled these fields. And the reason why they had to leave their bean farms in Mexico many, many generations ago. For almost 200 days, these Indian farmers have protested against these laws that harm their very livelihoods, like those policies that drove my family from their farms in Mexico, recruited by big ag and corporations to come to California to toil the fields without any rights, a legacy of U.S. slavery. Dolores Huerta and the Dolores Huerta Foundation and our over 12 Vecinos Unidos chapters are here with you in solidarity. And we support the over 800 million Indian farmers whose primary source of livelihood is at stake at India, but really, for us, it will affect the whole world. One of the main tenets that Dolores teaches is the power of grassroots organizing. By and for those affected, that those communities can make a difference. And as Dolores recently stated in a virtual rally about the situation in India, this movement is a movement that we should all get behind. The Indian farmers are really fighting for every small farmer around the world. Their victory is a victory for everyone, including small farmers across the United States and across the world. The consumers, all of us who eat food, we want food with justice. And this is what we're fighting for. So I ask you to call your local politicians, to pass local resolutions, to talk to all your media platforms, to speak to your federal representatives and the administration to stand in solidarity and support of these farmers. Please continue to raise consciousness on the issue, and with the powerful words that have moved many generations, coined by the Lourdes many moons ago, si se puede.
Si se puede. Si se puede.
Yes, we can.
All right, we have three more speakers. We'll wrap it up in the next 10-15 minutes. So we have Karanbir Sikh from Ghazipur border up next.
Yep.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਰੋਕ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੱਖੂੰਗਾ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਫਰਸਟ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਮੋਟੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਲ ਟੂ ਐਕਸ਼ਨ ਆਈਟਮਸ ਕੀ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਜੰਗ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਇੱਕ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਸੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਉਰੇ ਕਾਂਗਰਸ ਦੀ ਫਰਸਟ ਅਮੈਂਡਮੈਂਟ ਹੈ that you can assemble peacefully anywhere without wearing any arms and protest freely. So ਉਵੇਂ ਹੀ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ ਆਰਟੀਕਲ 19 of the constitution ਜਿਹਦੇ ਆਧਾਰ ਤੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਬੰਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਰੋਸ ਮੁਜ਼ਾਹਰਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਟੋਟਲ ਫ੍ਰੀडम ਆਫ ਸਪੀਚ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਐਕਸ਼ਨੇਬਲ ਆਈਟਮ ਆਪਣੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ we are writing to these people that there have been human right violations our youth our elders our sisters are being held in jail without even having access to judiciary. So ਆਪਾਂ ਪੁੱਛਾਂਗੇ ਵੀ ਜੁਡੀਸ਼ਰੀ ਜਿਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੀਜਾ ਸਤੰਭ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ। ਸੋ ਲੋਕਤੰਤਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਿੰਨ ਸਤੰਭ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਐਗਜ਼ੀਕਿਊਟਿਵ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਜਿਹਾ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਟੇਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਟਰਫੇਅਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਬੰਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਤਾਂ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਔਕਾਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ। ਬੰਗਾਲ 'ਚ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ 8 ਫੇਜ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੰਡਦਾ ਤਾਮਿਲਨਾਡੂ ਤੋਂ ਛੋਟੀ ਸਟੇਟ ਨੂੰ 50 यूनियन ਦੇ मिनिस्टर ला ले। सो हम पूछते हैं कि केंद्र सरकार केंद्र के कामों पे क्यों केंद्रित नहीं है। सो वाहिगुरु जी ਆਪਾਂ ਉਰੇ ਖੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਆਪਣੀ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੀ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਸੀ ਤੇ ਆਜ਼ਾਦੀ ਨੂੰ ਬਚਾਉਣ ਲਈ। 45% ਬੱਚੇ ਰੋਜ਼ ਭੁੱਖੇ ਸੌਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸੁਪਰ ਪਾਵਰ ਬਣਦੀਆਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਦੀਆਂ ਧੱਜੀਆਂ ਉਡਾਉਣੀਆਂ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਫੈਸਿਸਟ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬਾਈ ਦ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਆਫ ਦ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਫॉर ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਅਡਾਨੀ ਅੰਬਾਨੀ ਦੀ ਯਾਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਹੈ। So this is not fighting against like Modi or anybody in person. This is fighting against these big giants who have now joined hands with next like Facebook and Google who want to do all the ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਡੇਟਾ ਐਨਾਲਿਟਿਕਸ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਪੂਰਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਤਿਆਰੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਰ ਲਈ। ਹਾਲ ਇਹ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ ਜੇ ਤਿੰਨੋਂ ਬਿੱਲ ਵਾਪਸ ਨਾ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਬੇਸ਼ਕਿਆਰਤ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਮਨਸੈਂਟੋ ਵਰਗੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਫਾਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੜ ਕੇ ਸੀਡ ਕੱਢਣਗੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਕਹਿਣਗੇ ਆ ਫੜ ਕਾਕਾ $3 ਲੱਖ ਦੀ ਟਿਕਟ। ਦੈਟ ਵੁੱਡ ਬੀ ਦ ਸੀਡ ਪੁਲਿਸ। ਪਵਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਪਾਣੀ ਪਿਤਾ ਮਾਤਾ ਧਰਤ ਮਤ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਾਤਾ ਧਰਤੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਬਜ਼ਾ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਾਣੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਿਤਾ ਤੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਵੀ ਨੇਟਿਵ ਬੰਦੇ ਉਰੇ ਕਦੋਂ ਦੇ ਜੰਗ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਪਾਈਪਲਾਈਨਾਂ ਵਿਛਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਪਾਣੀ ਦੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਰਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਟ੍ਰੀਟੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਉਲੰਘਣਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਉਵੇਂ ਹੀ ਐਗਰੀਕਲਚਰ land the marketing of food grain or all state matters by the state list of the Constitution of India. Union government cannot make any laws on that. So this is totally unconstitutional by a democratically elected government to like intervene into basically states. So this is like why do we even have then 3 forms of government? There should be only one federal government. Do we need panchayats? Do we need any state governments? You're wasting our money on elections. Why do we need elections? Why do we have the most expensive elections in the world? Why do we have EVM? Electronic voting machine de vich enna kapda ho reha. Why do we have it? Who runs the Election Commission of India? Why is there no independent judiciary? Do we call this a democracy?
No!
So this is no democracy. We are fighting with the fascist regime, with likes of Nazis, Zulm of Mughals. They've crossed the tyrannism and the cruelness of the British crown. ਉਹ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਪੁੱਛੇ ਬੰਬੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਸੀ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੀ ਸੀ ਤਾਕਰੇ ਵਾਲੀ ਕੌਮ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਿੱਧਰ ਧਮਕੇ ਤੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਡਰਦੇ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਾਰਤਾ ਤੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਡਰਦੇ। ਸੋ ਵੀ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਤਾਂ ਵਾਪਸ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੀ ਨੇ, MSP ਦੀ ਰਿਟਨ ਗਰੰਟੀ ਵੀ ਲੈਣੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਮੋਰਚਾ ਐਵੇਂ ਚੱਲਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਪੂਰੇ ਜੋਬਨ ਤੇ। ਸੋ ਹੁਣ ਦੱਸ ਦਈਏ ਵੀ ਯੂਥ ਵੀ ਪੂਰਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਗਿਆ ਬਾਰਡਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਾਪਸ। ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਨੇ ਉਰੇ ਲੋਕਲ ਇਲੈਕਟਡ ਅਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲਸ ਨੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਹੈਵ ਟੂ ਰਾਈਟ why are they not speaking about human right violations? Does America stand for democracy anymore? ਸੋ ਇਹ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ। ਤੇ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਯਾਰ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਫੇਸਬੁੱਕ ਦੇ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਓਪਨ ਅਲਟੀਮੇਟਮ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਖੜ ਕੇ ਉਰੇ, ਮਾਰਕ ਜ਼ਕਰਬਰਗ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਅਲਟੀਮੇਟਮ। ਜੇ ਫਾਰਮਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਸਟ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪੂਰਾ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਸਪਰੈਸ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ, ਜੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦੀ, ਸੈਨ ਹੋਜ਼ੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਸਿਲਿਕਨ ਵੈਲੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਲ ਟੋਪਾ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਫੇਸਬੁੱਕ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ। ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 1 ਮਈ ਤੋਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਸੰਯੁਕਤ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਮੋਰਚਾ ਅੱਗੇ ਚੱਲੂਗਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੀ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਘੇਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਆਪਾਂ ਸਟੇਟ ਕੈਪੀਟਲਸ ਤੇ ਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਕੈਪੀਟਲ ਵਾਸ਼ਿੰਗਟਨ DC ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਘੇਰਾਂਗੇ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਪੂਰਾ ਹੁਣ ਜੋਬਨ ਤੇ ਜਾਊਗਾ। ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹ ਬੰਗਾਲ ਦਾ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਹਾਰਨਗੇ। ਜਿੱਥੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਕੰਪੇਨਿੰਗ ਕਰੋ। ਇਹ ਚੁਣਾਵ ਜੀਵੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਹੈ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਰਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ। ਗਵਰਨੈਂਸ ਦੇਣਾ, ਵਧੀਆ ਲਾਅ ਐਂਡ ਆਰਡਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ, ਇਹ ਆਪਦੇ ਸੰਵਿਧਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੀਐਂਬਲ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ। ਜਦੋਂ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਮੰਦਰ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੀਐਂਬਲ ਦੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਵੰਡਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ MSP ਮੰਗਣਾ, you guys work in America, you all have Fair Labor Standard Act and minimum wage. So minimum wage is something, if we take away from Americans, you would not be able to put food on your tables. Just imagine that. So how is fighting for MSP, which has been going on for more than 20 years, more than 400,000, 4 ਲੱਖ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਆਤਮ ਹੱਤਿਆ ਕਰ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ। ਵਿਦਰਭਾ, ਮਰਾਠਾਵਾੜਾ, ਮਹਾਰਾਸ਼ਟਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤੇਲੰਗਾਨਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਨਾਲ ਗੋਂਡਾ ਤੇ 4 ਜ਼ਿਲ੍ਹੇ ਕਰਨਾਟਕਾ ਦੇ 1,35,000 ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਮਿਲਨਾਡੂ 'ਚ ਗ੍ਰਿਫਤਾਰੀ ਦੇ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ। ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ ਅੰਦੋਲਨ ਹੈ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਧੱਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਰੰਗ ਦੇਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ। ਇਹ ਲੜਾਈ ਹੈ ਆਜ਼ਾਦੀ ਦੀ ਤੇ ਖਾਣੇ ਦੀ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਮੀਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਦੀਆਂ, ਮਤਲਬ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਕਿੱਲੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਗਾਜ਼ੀਪੁਰ ਬਾਰਡਰ ਤੇ ਆ ਜਾਓ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੰਡਾਂਗੇ ਇੱਕ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਲੇ। ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਲ ਗਿਆ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਜੋ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਦੇਸ਼ ਨੂੰ ਮਨੂਵਾਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾੜ ਕੇ, ਜੋ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ, they're trying to break our country. Fighting for MSP is not a religious issue. It is not a political issue. It is neither a socialistic issue. ਨਾ ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਕਾਮਰੇਡ ਵਾਲਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੈ, ਨਾ ਇਹ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਸਟਿਕ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੈ, ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਇਹ ਸੈਪਰੇਟਿਸਟ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਆਜ਼ਾਦੀ ਦਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਤੇ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟ ਇਸ਼ੂ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਦਾ ਖਾਣਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਹਰੇਕ ਉਹ ਜਾਨਵਰ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਹਰੇਕ ਘੋੜੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੋਲੀ ਮਾਰੀ ਹੈ, ਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਐਂਬਲਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਘੋੜਾ ਤੇ ਥੱਲੇ ਬੈਲ ਬਣਿਆ। ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਬੈਲਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਫੌਜਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਬਰਕਰਾਰ ਨੇ ਬਾਰਡਰਾਂ ਤੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਘੋੜਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਗੋਲੀਆਂ ਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਸ਼ੈਲਿੰਗ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡਾ ਭਾਈ ਨਵਰੀਤ ਹੁੰਦਲ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗਾਜ਼ੀਪੁਰ ਬਾਰਡਰ ਤੋਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਕ ਜੋਬਨ ਵਿਚਾਰਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਖਤਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਯੂਥ ਤਿਆਰ ਬਰ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੈ। ਉੱਤਰ ਪ੍ਰਦੇਸ਼, ਪੂਰੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ, ਹਰਿਆਣਾ, ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਹਰਿਆਣਾ ਸੁਨਹਿਰੀ ਅੱਖਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਦਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਨੌ ਦਰਜ ਕਰਵਾ ਚੁੱਕਾ ਹੈ। ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਦੁੱਧ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਚੜੂਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਗੁਰਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਚੜੂਨੀ ਜਿੰਦਾਬਾਦ, ਸੰਯੁਕਤ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਮੋਰਚਾ ਜਿੰਦਾਬਾਦ, ਰਕੇਸ਼ ਟਕੈਤ ਜਿੰਦਾਬਾਦ, ਬਲਬੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਰਾਜੇਵਾਲ ਜਿੰਦਾਬਾਦ। ਸੋ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਉਗਰਾਹ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਰੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਸੋ ਜਿੰਨਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਕੁਰਬਾਨੀਆਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਲਿਓ, ਕਿਸਾਨ ਅੰਦੋਲਨਾਂ ਦਾ। ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਕਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਇੱਕ ਵੀ ਅੰਦੋਲਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਾਰੇ, ਚਾਹੇ 1907 ਦੀ ਪਗੜੀ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਜੱਟਾ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟ ਹੋਵੇ, ਚਾਹੇ ਖੇੜਾ ਅੰਦੋਲਨ ਹੋਵੇ 1918 ਦਾ, ਚਾਹੇ 1928 ਦਾ ਬਾਰਡੋਲੀ ਅੰਦੋਲਨ ਹੋਵੇ, ਹੁਣ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਪਟੇਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਦਾ ਖਿਤਾਬ ਮਿਲਿਆ, ਚਾਹੇ ਚੰਪਾਰਨ ਹੋਵੇ, ਚਾਹੇ ਅਹਿਮਦਾਬਾਦ ਮਿਲ ਹੋਵੇ, ਚਾਹੇ ਡਾਂਡੀ ਸੱਤਿਆਗ੍ਰਹਿ। ਇਹ ਕਾਲੇ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਭੁੱਲ ਗਈ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਕਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਾਰੇ। ਨਿਸ਼ਚੈ ਕਰ ਜੀਤ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲੀ ਇਹ ਕੌਮ ਕਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਟਦੀ। ਜਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਮਰਾਂਗੇ ਜਾਂ ਜਿੱਤਾਂਗੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਜੋ ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ।
Next speaker, we got GP. She's got a little festivity. What? Yeah. If you don't know, this is Insta
The
GP.
live stream doesn't stay on the network, so it's going on here, thankfully.
But we made a video on this separately then.
I took it. We'll check it out.
So we have live. So.
Thank you very
Very customary for you.
much.
In April, wait, can you guys hear
149, and yet in April 1699, the Khalsa was born. Look around you. We're all group of thinking forward and saying no matter what we look like. India has always been intimidated by the Khalsa, just like a Gizit is intimidated by a Sher. This is why they rape our women, torture and kill our men. This is why they pass these 3 farm bills, because it is a slow death. Only lunatics like watching a slow death, and this is what they are. These farm bills are a death sentence to Kisans and Mizrahi. You kill our farmers, that means you kill our culture and our tradition. The death count is currently at 362. These deaths are on them. We are not anti-India. India is anti-Punjab. India is anti-Sikh. India is anti-us. Sanda Haq! Sanda Haq! Sanda Haq! Sanda Haq! Sanda Haq! No farmers! No food! No farmers! No food! No farmers! No food! No farmers! No food! Kisan Majboor Ekta! Kisan Majboor Ekta! Modi Kutta! Modi Kutta! Modi Kutta! Kisan Majboor Ekta! Kisan Majboor Ekta!
Put this here real quick.
So 29th to 30th of May ਨੂੰ
Further, yeah.
All right, next is our final speaker before we get the march going.
So we support farmers.org ਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਜੀ
Representative
So
from Khalsa Aid.
Please, please. Thank you.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I want to congratulate and thank everybody for being here today and participating on a solidarity march across one of the world's most recognized bridges, the Golden Gate Bridge, which is iconic for the United States and California, but also symbolic. And it's symbolic for the fact that it shows us the opportunities, rights, and freedoms that we enjoy here in the United States. And all of us are here in part because our parents, our grandparents, or maybe even our great-grandparents recognize that the blood that flowed through their veins, the determination and the hard work that they were willing to put in, they wouldn't get the fruits of that labor in India. And that's not a commentary on the people of India, because as we've seen, regardless of religion or creed or any other category that humans create for one another, the people of India have showed each other that they love one another and that they are united. But it is absolutely a condemnation for the government of that country. A government whose people overthrew oppressive regimes only to have their own people put the same type of regime on them to exploit and to use them. So we're here today because in November, we all experienced shock and trauma, seeing our people, faces that look like our parents, our brothers, our sisters, and our grandparents being abused on the streets on their way to Delhi. But we shouldn't be shocked. People have touched on this before me, and the reason that we shouldn't be shocked is these 3 farm bills, they've been about 60 years coming. If you don't know Punjab's history, I talked to a young Singh a few weeks ago, and I told him, I said, you know, this all goes back to the Green Revolution when they started to exploit Punjab, when Punjab's farmers started becoming dependent, and he turned to me and he said, why doesn't anybody talk about that? And my first reaction was anger and frustration with him. I wanted to grab him, I wanted to shake him and say, where have you been? But what's important was, he's here now. You're all here now. If you want to know about the people that stood up and talked about the Green Revolution and what it did to Punjab, if you want to talk about, if you want to know the names and the faces of the people who stood up and tried to make India for the people, all you have to do is go to Fremont Gurdwara, sit down and have langar, but instead of looking at your thal, look up at the walls. Their faces are all around you. If you want to know their names, get the list of the uncovered dead that Jaswant Singh Kalra was able to expose before they killed him. This isn't something that is just these 3 farm bills. This was the final conclusion of a process that started centuries ago. The Khalsa, the Sikh faith, it took what was in Punjab's blood into the next logical step. Guru Nanak Dev Ji started a revolution, and ever since then, the Sikh image, the Sikh ideals have always been a source of stress for those that want to oppress. And we put brick and mortar to it in Guru Har Gobind's time when we built Akal Takht Sahib, which faces straight to Delhi as a direct challenge. And that's why they tore it down. Not because of the propaganda that they tell you. You should all go home and read the Anandpur Sahib resolution and see what it stands for. There's nothing in there that says break India apart. What it says is give India back to the people. Give the people their rights. That's what was so dangerous about the movement from 1978 to 1984, that they needed to kill thousands upon thousands of people. So when you look at the Morcha in Delhi, understand that it started 60 years ago. And there's a saying in Punjabi that sometimes your bajurg will tell the young guys, they get a little bit garm, they say, Sabar da got to be low. But in November of 2020, the bajurg got up and they said to the young kids, Sabar da pe Allah par ke dullar lag paya. And they took to the streets. And what you have to understand is, it's been 5-7 months since this morcha has been going on. And some of you may be losing a little bit of steam. The crowds get thinner. It's normal. We want quality over quantity. It doesn't matter. We want the people that are dedicated to continue to show up. But remember, if it took them 60 years to get to this point, the repeal of these 3 farm laws, that's not the finish line. That's the starting point. We need these laws to be repealed so that we can start the healing process of Punjab and make it strong again. And I want to touch on one more thing. Last time I spoke to you, I did a binti and I said, please refocus. We had lost a little bit of focus because of what happened on January 26th, and some people got against it. So I asked you to refocus. If I had a binti today, if I had to request something today of you as my brothers, sisters, as your son, it's this. Get ready for the long haul. This isn't something that's going to finish in 2021, not 2022, not by 2030. This morcha has implications that all of us not only need to fight our entire life for, it's something that you should be telling your children about. My son came home and he had an essay written, and it was about Cesar Chavez, and the last line was, don't hate the porn. And I couldn't be more happy to tell him, this is what you're learning at school. And I explained to him how what he had learned at school applied to his own people back in Punjab. The photos that I had been showing him. Make your kids activists. Make them know that, you know what, being an activist as a Punjabi, as a Sikh, is their duty. And remember, it's not just the farm laws. The beauty of this protest, the uniqueness of this protest, which is unique to all Sikh movements, is this. It may start out as one issue, but along the way, if there's any other issues that a Sikh sees, they bring it along. Ajo. Not Ajo, we'll take care of you too. So along the way, what happened? We forgot. We said, everybody's one. We need to continue to fight that evil. And along the way, we realized, you know what? There's poverty all over India. Langar isn't meant just for a langar hall. Langar is meant for those that need it. There's kids in Delhi now that are probably at least 10 pounds heavier because the Kisan is in there. Make sure that langar gets to where it's supposed to be. That's our duty. But also remember that, you know what? The bibiyan that were sitting at home, that some of us as men may have suppressed or kept quiet, they were marching right along with us. And the ones that weren't, they were the ones at 5 in the morning in the dark that were running along the Kirtan. So make sure that you stand up for them as well. It's not a one-faceted movement. You need to continue to fight all of those movements to keep that activism alive. And last but not least, I would be amiss if I didn't mention the fact that now we've even started to hear about sexual assault and different other types of exploitation of women. It's our duty to stand up for them as well. So again, in closing, if there's one thing that I would say, it's this. This fight is long. It's a forever fight. But that's what this month was made for. This month, since the birth of Guru Nanak, has constantly been a movement, and it continues to be a movement. So don't lose steam, don't lose hope. We get frustrated when we hear news that Lakha Siddharna, who barely just came back into the Morcha, who's been allowed back in, his brother's been beat to the point where he can't talk, and he's in a hospital. Understand that if Lakha's still at the Morcha, if he hasn't lost patience, we can't either. So please, continue to show up, continue to post, continue to educate yourself and educate those around you about all the different aspects of this Morcha, and be open, be loving. We sometimes think that as Punjabis, it's okay to get mad. No, it means passion, not anger. Be passionate with one another. Be open and loving towards one another and understanding. I think it's an amazing thing that 5-6 months on, we still have this many people here today at such an iconic location. So again, I want to thank you, and I want to ask you to keep on coming. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Bole so nihara. Alright, thank you again everybody for coming out today. This concludes our speeches portion. Right now what we are going to do, I'll do the first English then Punjabi. Everybody that has a flag, a pole, jajana apni body na photo, like right next to your body. The police officers don't want you waving your flags. So keep them very close to your body, like attached.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਫਤਿਹ ਜੀ। ਸੋ
we're getting back into line
ਆਪੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ
Take your time on the bridge.
ਤੇ ਬ੍ਰਿਜ ਵੱਲ ਹੁਣ ਮੂਵ ਕਰੂਗਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਸਟ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜੀ ਦੇਰ ਚ ਲਾਈਵ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਤੋਂ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਪੀਕਰ ਸੀਗੇ, ਸਪੀਕਰ ਸਾਹਿਬਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੱਡ ਕੋਨਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਅੱਗੇ ਸੋ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੁਣ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਸਟ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਣਗੇ।